Is this real life right now? That's exactly why elevators are terrifying. You never know who's in there with you, and when the doors close, you don't know what could happen. How's it going, all you most amazing people? Welcome back. I'm your host for this one, Landon Dalsing, and make sure to follow me on Instagram. I've been following a lot of you guys back. Let's see if we can hit 100,000 followers. We're super close. If you guys want to be a part of this new series that we have going on, where you guys share scary stories with me, make sure you guys go to my Instagram, look for this image right here, submit a scary story or a scary story in the comment section of this video so I can feature you guys in the next part of this video. All of the stories on this list are told by you guys from Instagram or YouTube. So I'm just letting you guys know part 4 of this video is only going to be from Instagram, so make sure you guys head over there. And then the one after that, we'll mix it up again. Alright, let's get right into this video. This is the top 10 scary stories ever told, part 3. Starting us off, and at number 10, we have a story from user Fuzzy Meat Waffle E from part 2 of this series, and this is what they said. When I was 11 years old, my grandfather died from cancer, and after a few days, I started to see some paranormal stuff. The best experience is when I was sad, and when I get sad, I would sleep downstairs. I was having a dream about my grandfather, and it woke me up. I was crying. I saw a hand in front of me waving. I stood up, and I saw an old man sitting on a chair waving at me, but I felt safe and not scared. I don't know if he said, "You'll be safe," or if it was just in my mind. I told my parents about the incident, but they didn't believe me. We shortly moved after that, and sometimes I can hear and still see him. Okay, was that old man waving at you? Was that your grandpa? Because if that was just a random old man waving at you and saying you will be safe, I'm pretty sure that's a lie and you need to get the heck out of there. You can't just trust any old person who is dead telling you to be safe. Also, on a side note, have you guys tried that old person filter? Well, here's what I look like. I aged horribly. I don't know what happened to me, but my wife's looking pretty good. Also, apparently be careful downloading the app because the app is from, like, it was made in Russia. Alright, let's move on. Number 9 comes from Jonesy149 on Instagram, and you know what? I chose you to follow on Instagram. Your account is private, so I submitted the request friend thing, so make sure you accept it. It's me. So if you guys want me to follow you guys, make sure you follow me on Instagram. Alright, so this is what this person had to say. This is a true story, and I think about this from time to time. My family moved in this really old house when we first moved to Pennsylvania. I remember it being the first ever house I lived in that had a food pantry. I was about 6 or 7 at the time. I remember going downstairs in the middle of the night to fetch a drink of water for myself. On a lot of those nights, I heard sobbing coming in the pantry. I also heard a voice talking as if they were venting to someone. I heard bits and pieces such as, "And this one time my little brother," and when I was 8, I knew my older sister had a few problems, so I honestly thought it was just her and never thought twice about it. I remember about 3 years later, and many nights of this, not every night, but some of them, we eventually moved out after my little sister was born to a bigger house. I remember packing our stuff and asking my older sister what she was always crying about in the pantry. She looked at me and looked dead serious and said, "What are you talking about? I never leave my bedroom at night because I'm scared of the dark. I never cried at the pantry." Paraphrasing that conversation a bit since it was so many years ago, but that's basically how it happened. I still ask her about it every once in a while, now that we're both adults, and she still continues to deny it. Okay, holy okay, is this real life right now? Wait a minute. So you're telling me the whole time you've been hanging out in the food pantry with the hungry ghost? I would be so terrified. And were you the only one that heard it crying? I would hope that my sister was lying to me and she was the one sobbing in the pantry, because if not, you've witnessed paranormal activities for, like, I don't know how long. Moving on to number 8. This scary story also comes from Instagram user Drake_DNDSK8, because why not? Well, they submitted this story. I was once sitting in my room having a late night Minecraft session, and around 2:30 a.m. I started hearing noises. I disregarded it, seeing my house is old. I had my lights on at the time and music playing on my radio at 2:59, and the exact second that it hit 3, everything turned off. My Xbox, my TV, everything. I was scared stiff, so I hid under the covers. When my bed started to move a little back and forth, and then exactly at 3:01, everything is back on. That's my scary story. It happened when I was 13. I love most amazing top 10s and would be shocked if I made it into a video. Well, Well, you know what, buddy? There you go. You've just been featured in a Most Amazing Top 10 video. Thank you so much for submitting your story. And you know what? I think it's safe to say that you should go to bed before 3 a.m. Never stay up late ever again. But you know what? I would wonder if the power always goes off at the exact same time. So if I were you, I would have maybe set up some cameras and recorded for like a week and see what happened. But I would not be sleeping in that room. I'd be at a friend's house for this week. Number 7, the story comes from Chimney Nugget on YouTube, and they said this. I have my own story that gives me chills. So when I was younger, my mother came to sleep in my room so I could feel comfortable when scared. I was just paranoid about someone watching me. My bed is facing to the balcony windows. And once it was 12 a.m., I was just trying to fall asleep, but me and my mom saw a tall figure with tentacles just staring at us. We live on an apartment block on the 5th floor. After that, we always put some sort of blanket on the balcony so that creature doesn't watch my family at night. I think maybe Davy Jones from, Pirates of the Caribbean, or maybe Cthulhu was watching you guys at nighttime. I don't know what is scarier. It might be time to move. When you move, make sure to request the 20th floor or above. Some are hard for creatures to get to. And you know what? Thank you so much for submitting that story. It's pretty damn terrifying if you asked me. Unexplainable demonic activities is up next at number 6. You guys won't believe this story. Well, the story comes from Matthew Trev on Instagram, and they wrote, I was once in my house and then all the taps suddenly turned on. I was so scared. I then heard demonic laughing. I was home alone, but I ran out of the house. I came back later. All the taps were turning on and off. Then there was quiet. Okay, if that is a true story, do you know where your suitcase is? It's time to pack. Get a cell phone as well. So cell phone and suitcase. Suitcase is to pack up your important stuff, and the cell phone is to call Sam and Dean, from Supernatural, because you need to be blessed. Also call a realtor because you need a new house fast. Tell him you need it by tomorrow. And tell him on your wish list you want it to be demonic free, and you want every room to have a cross on it. Maybe sprinkle some holy water in every room. Probably one of the scariest stories on this list, but now at number 5, we have a story from Dan_.xp, and they said, I ran out of toilet paper in the bathroom and I ate something really spicy, so I needed it. Okay, I think that is one of the most traumatizing situations to be in. I mean, is this real life right now? I hope you were able to get counseling through this. Pretty tough time. Like, what do you do? What do you do? Do you consider using an object in the room to wipe do you use a cloth? Maybe your hand? That's scary. Okay, a blast from the past is at number 4. We have a story from user Nor_art7 on Instagram, and they said, this is a true story. Back when me and my sister were younger, she would constantly have nightmares and wouldn't tell us what they were. One day she passed a photograph that was framed in our house and asked who it was when she told us that she kept seeing him in her dream, and this shocked me and my parents as that was her great-great-grandfather that had passed not too long before the occurrence of her dreams, but the thing was she never met him. Now as she is old and doesn't remember any of this, I do vividly. That would be very scary, pretty terrifying. Some say that you can't dream of something that you don't know. Like, you can't dream of the unknown. You can't dream of someone you've never seen. But for some reason, somehow, you had dreams of your great-great-grandfather. I'm not even sure how that's possible. It's pretty scary if you ask me. It seems like when you're very young, you can actually see things that adults can't. I remember when I was younger, I saw things in the mirror. I was freaked out. I don't talk about this story because I'm way too scared. So you know what? That's why I think a lot of these stories on this list, on this series, is very plausible. Number 3, this story comes from Lacura Gaming on YouTube. I don't know if I said your name right. I do apologize. Lacura? Okay, you said this. True story. When I was 6, I met 3 kids only I could see. I tried really hard to show my family, but they just said that they were imaginary friends. I used to have the same dream of me pushing my little bro down the stairs, killing him, and 3 kids would be at the bottom shushing me. Eventually I told my mom through fear of it actually happening one day, and she dismissed it as a nightmare. They finally believed me when me and my siblings were arguing, and a light bulb blew off the dining room table, and we had some picture frames flew off too. None of them were on the edge, and that's when my auntie prayed over me and I never saw them again. I think when something scares you, it is best to tell your parents so maybe they can help you out. I've never had an imaginary friend, but I know a lot of people do. I mean, how do millions of people have imaginary friends? Maybe they are actually real. Maybe these kids are seeing something. But you know what? If I start seeing someone or something that is not there, I'm gonna have a mental freakout. What the heart attack just happened? Well, this next scary story is up next, number 2. This story comes from user XXAlienXX96 on Instagram, and they said this. My husband told me one of the scariest stories I've ever heard in my life. He and a friend of his decided to go to an abandoned insane asylum that was 5 stories. He and his friend heard some rumors about that building, but they laughed about it. They entered the building and made their way to the 5th floor. They went from the 5th floor to the basement. Each floor began to feel more and more eerie. When they finally hit the basement, that's when things got insane. He and his friends began to feel funny. They heard the noise of claws being dragged against the floor, and then they began to feel strange. The strange feelings were their breaking points, and they ran out of the basement and exited the building. Upon exiting the building, the strange feelings didn't stop. So they went to the hospital to see what was going on. After tests were done, my husband got told by doctors that he had a mini heart attack and a mini stroke at the same time. And he and his friends have not been back to the building ever since. Yeah, I don't think I'd ever go back either. I think this story was scary. The moment that you said your husband and his friends decided to go to an abandoned insane asylum. Who does that? It's so brutal about your husband having a mini heart attack. I do sincerely hope that he is okay, and hopefully he stays out of abandoned buildings, especially insane asylums. What is he? Insane? Finally, number 1, we have someone who was blessed as a kid but still sees demons today. Well, we have a story from _tomerg_ from Instagram, and this is what they said. Even though I was blessed by a priest and everything, I still see this demon out of the corner of my eye or something fully in person. I also know that this demon is still haunting me because I still shift to this nightmarish dimension. I am very frightened and always pray whenever this happens. One time, I put crosses all over my room and house, and when I was alone, they turned upside down. Pretty scary. I've learned something from this. Never mess with the supernatural because you can end up summoning something that you can never get rid of. When I tell my family of this experience, they always tell me to have faith and never stop going to church. I believe I'm cursed by this demonic entity, and I'm very scared of what's going to happen when I die. Okay, maybe you have to figure out how to get rid of the demon, maybe talk to a priest, maybe you have to be blessed again, maybe try some holy water. Just bathe in holy water for the next 10 years. And I also agree with you with the fact that you should never summon a demon, and that's exactly why I don't believe in Ouija, you know, the Ouija board, that, oh, do you want to come play this Ouija board game? It's not a game, people. Why would you want to summon a demon? Okay, sorry, that video did scare me. That 3-second clip just came out of nowhere. Well, there you guys have it. I was your host, Landon. Do not scare me. And make sure you guys submit your guys' scary stories to Instagram. Look for this image right here. Submit a scary story, and I'm going to feature you guys in a future video. Also, submit a scary story on this video because I'll find it and I'll feature you guys. And don't forget, if you follow me on Instagram, I'm going to try to follow as many of you guys back. Well, that's it for me, guys. I'll see you guys all in part 4.